Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us at this evening's regularly scheduled school board meeting this Tuesday, October 13th, 2020. We have two members of the board that are participating telephonically, so let me do a quick roll call vote. Let's begin with Member Gallo.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Member Lopez.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Member Cobert.
Good evening, Chair.
Vice Chair Gould.
Good evening.
Dr. Gordon. I know Dr. Gordon is with us. Let me give it just another minute. Dr. Gordon? All right, we'll come back in just a minute. Dr. Casterdental? Member Byrd?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. All right, one more time. Dr. Gordon? Dr. Casterdental?
I'm here, Madam Chair.
Thank you. How about Dr. Gordon?
Hi there, Madam Chair. I'm present and accounted for.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will begin this evening as we begin every meeting, and that's with a moment of silence, followed by a pledge of allegiance. And I wanted to ask Member Gallo if she would lead us in both. Thank you. We have a number of special guests with us tonight, and I understand that some of them have an award to deliver. So I must say that it's wonderful to be able to have moments like this again, where so many of us are here present in the chambers. So without further delay, let me introduce the Florida Alliance for Arts Education representatives that are with us. The FAAE Advisory Board member, Debbie Famey,
Famey,
Famey?
that's correct.
and Executive Director, Leland Terrio. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. My name is Debbie Famey, and I nominated Mr. Scott Evans for the 2020 FAAE District Arts Administrator Leadership Award. I absolutely applaud the great work that this school board has done in promotion for arts education, and I know that you're all keenly aware of the work that Mr. Evans does here in the district. However, I'm here to assure you that his influence and his leadership goes much beyond the boundaries. He's a leader and a model throughout the state and even the nation. The FAA Leadership Awards are presented to those who demonstrate great leadership in the improvement, promotion, and enhancement of arts education throughout our state. A simple Google search of the name Scott Evans will show you why his name is written all over this award. Scott is a leader who is driven by his passionate belief that the arts are an integral part of life and critical to our future. This core principle drives his mission to reach every child with quality arts education. He has a talent for championing the work of his own arts educators, while at the same time challenging them to grow and achieve even more for their students, and you see that in your schools regularly. These are the hallmarks of a great, outstanding leader, and Scott sets this bar very high. I was the arts coordinator over in Osceola County, your neighboring county. Whenever there was an issue or an initiative that would be discussed among the state's arts coordinators, the first question asked would be, well, what are they doing in Orange County? This was particularly important when last March, without warning, the entire education system had to do the pandemic pivot, and OCPS was looked to for leading the way. You see, under Scott's leadership, Orange County has continually set a standard and been a model of best practices in arts education. This is undoubtedly why OCPS was recognized with the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation's Best Communities for Music Education. That's a national award. As you know, under Scott's leadership, your district was awarded the Kennedy Center Partner in Education designation, which afforded much opportunity to your teachers and students, particularly in the area of arts integration. Scott has this incredible ability to communicate with people. This allows him to personally connect and advocate for music education. He's navigated budget cuts, curriculum changes, district initiatives, and even community tragedies such as when Pulse hit this community, all while keeping the needs of his students and teachers as his main focus. His ability to forge partnerships with community culture groups is recognized throughout the state. One such project, The Art of Tomorrow, which I'm sure you've all heard about, is done in partnership with Universal Foundation, and it garnered the Florida Music Education Association's Exemplary Model Project Award. Scott's statewide impact is recognized through his service on the Music Education Association Board of Directors. Additionally, he had been president of the Florida Music Supervisors Association. Scott Evans is at the forefront of every arts and cultural education group within Central Florida and beyond. His impact can be felt by thousands with a trickle-down effect to millions, keeping the arts alive in their lives. And I am thrilled that FAAE tonight is awarding my wonderful friend and role model with the 2020 District Arts Administrator Award, which you can see displayed up there. So thank you, Scott, for all that you do.
So Scott, you're not going to get away with an award like that so easily. So why don't you come to the mic for just a minute? Or do we have, oh, I'm sorry, first.
Oh, no, I will wait for him.
No, no. Ms. Tavrio,
All right.
please.
So my name is Leland Terrio. I'm the Executive Director for the Florida Alliance for Arts Education, and I'm here tonight to present a very special award that my dear friend, Scott Evans, nominated you for. The Florida Alliance for Arts Education, as Ms. Famey stated, our mission is to improve, enhance, and promote arts education throughout the state of Florida. It is our vision for every child to have a well-rounded education, including a comprehensive, sequential, and high-quality art instruction, and for all Florida communities to have broad-based cultural programs for lifelong learning in and through the arts. These statements are based on the idea that arts are basic to a complete education. The arts are essential to the vitality and quality of life in schools and our communities. The arts address both cultural inclusiveness and diversity. The arts are powerful in the education of students with special needs, and the arts have a positive impact on student achievement. So with that, my friend Scott Evans has decided that you, the Orange County Public School Board, should be awarded our Leadership Award for 2020. Scott shared that the School Board of Orange County Public Schools has had to make some incredibly difficult decisions while representing the needs of teachers, parents, and students. While focused on the safety and well-being of teachers and students, they have never forgotten the need to provide students with the artistic outlet afforded to them in their visual and performing arts classrooms. Mr. Evans continued to state that this was not the case in many places around the nation, but with their resolves, Orange County Public Schools has been able to continue to deliver arts to students in dance, music, theater, and visual art. This is admirable and worthy of recognition. So with that understanding, I would like you to stand when I call your name. Teresa Jacobs, Angie Gall, Joanna Lopez, Linda Cobert, I believe Pam Gould is. Pam Gould. Then Kat Gordon is the ladies online. Just give us a thumbs up. Karen Castor-Dental, and Melissa Board. Will everyone please give this fine board a round of applause for their accomplishments? Thank you so much for having me here tonight. Oh, yes, and the second award up there, this is for our school board. So I would like to now introduce Rob Bixler, the Associate Superintendent of Curriculum and Digital Learning, with a special announcement.
So this must be a Scott love fest tonight. But Scott's been telling our story across the nation for quite a while, and we've been trying to partner with the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation for many years. And I have a special announcement because they've heard our story. Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation was inspired by the acclaimed motion picture, Mr. Holland's Opus, the story of the profound effect a dedicated music teacher had on generations of students. Michael Kamen, who wrote the score for the film, started the foundation in 1996 as his commitment to the future of music education. Well, we received word from Mr. Holland's Opus a couple of weeks ago that they're interested in partnering with OCPS, and I have the letter from them. A little bit of funniness in this letter, but I'm going to read it anyways. Dear Madam Chair and members of the board, on behalf of the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation, I would like to first thank you all for your steadfast support for continued access to arts education for students during the pandemic. This is demonstrative of your commitment to ensure all OCPS students have access to high-quality arts education. I would also like to thank you for your continued support of the United Arts Partnership as an access equalizer to community-based arts and cultural experiences. Your support for arts education does not go unnoticed, and we at the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation applaud your efforts. The foundation is thrilled to donate just over $94,000 worth of musical instruments to Piedmont, Union Park, and Westridge Middle Schools. It has been a pleasure getting to know the music teachers and school administration at each of these respective schools through the vetting process. Even in what may end up at being their most challenging year in education due to the pandemic, the music teachers at each of these schools demonstrated a relentless passion and commitment to students. We are grateful for their dedication and the tremendous impact they are making on young lives. We'd also like to extend our appreciation to the administration at all three school sites who have prioritized music education as a powerful tool that positively impacts youth development. You clearly recognize the value of arts education, and for this, we thank you. Well, here we go, Scott. While he will be hesitant to do so, I made Scott promise me, this is actually in the letter, I made Scott promise me that he will include this next part in reading the letter. I think you will agree that much of the success of arts education in OCPS is in response to Scott's fierce leadership of OCPS Arts Department. In the time that I have worked with Scott, he has demonstrated a desire and motivation to go above and beyond to ensure art students and teachers are supported to the best of his ability. He genuinely cares about student success, and I don't think there's a challenge you can't put in front of Scott that he won't find a solution for. Scott, on behalf of the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation, we thank you for your endless energy and work resulting in such high-quality arts programming in OCPS. Finally, to OCPS music teachers, we couldn't be more thrilled to support your musical journey. You are our future leaders, and we cannot think of a better investment than investing in you. We encourage you to keep practicing and playing your instrument. The power of music will lead you to great success in life. Thank you to OCPS for your opportunity to serve your students and uplifting our community. With gratitude, Tris Steele, Program Director, Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation.
Wow, that's so cool. All right, now do we get to hear from Scott? Yes, yes, yes. They were correct in not letting you read the letter.
I mean, the only words I would say is, again, how much I appreciate all that you guys have done. I know this has been a crazy time for so many of you that are brand new to the school board to jump in here and do this, but I've been on many, many calls across the nation where programs were getting cut because there was just no way to figure out what to do with the arts during all of the social distancing time. But at no time ever did I hear the school board talk about that or even consider that. So that's a huge win for OCPS kids. It's heartfelt and very much appreciated by me, and I truly believe this award is deserved for you all, and you all have earned this recognition. So thank you very much for all that you've done for OCPS kids and for the arts in particular. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. You inspire us. Your leadership and your students are absolutely inspiring to all of us.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Dr. Gordon. Oh,
Right,
my
put
gosh.
Me
Go ahead.
on the comment. I need to say something.
Absolutely.
I do.
Go ahead, my dear.
Oh my gosh, listen, I am just crying. Oh my Lord. Performing arts in the OCPS district is so important. We were not there. We were not there. We were not there with every school. The unitary status, which is the ending of that, getting the desegregation order out of the way, all of the board members, previous board members coming on board, even, oh my God, even Ms. Colbert, I mean, making the donation from her funds to the schools so we could make sure that the high schools are getting what they need, supplying the middle schools with what they need. But I'm here to say thank you, Mr. Opus. Oh Lord, you don't know what that means to me. I came up under, well, Charleston is something like Fairview, but I'm a South Carolina state. It's a big history with Bethune-Cookman, Fairview, and all that, and Jones High, and all the other schools. Music is such a competition, but yet it is energizing and energetic. And when Scott was appointed, I said, we could do so much more and so much better. And over the years, I play the videos over the performing art as they perform at Dr. Phillips and Miss Pam Gould's district when we go and perform various places. Every board member giving to that performing art department. If I had it, I would give my whole life to the performing art department. But under your leadership, I got to be honest, and I'm just going to say it, I gave you hell. I gave you hell. I meant to give you hell because I know that when children learn music, it takes their brain to another level. When children learn to play an instrument and read music, nobody can top them. They are the top in the nation. I've seen it with some of the children that you never think could ever play an instrument. We all have something in our brain that is just totally different. But when you put music into your brain, being it learning a foreign language, it just sets your brain on fire. Playing a musical instrument. I thank you, Scott, because I did. I gave you hell. I told Dr. Jenkins on you every time. It just didn't look right in my district, okay? Until we could get it where we want it to be. I know that there are talented students in music all over because music is a gift. And nobody can take it from you. It is a gift that can be learned, it can be taught, and these students excel in Orange County Public Schools and in the nation. So I want to say to the Mr. Opus Foundation, thank you for looking at us and seeing that you took your time to put your hand down to lift us up. And I thank Scott and the foundation, oh my God, and the arts for always looking at Orange County Public School. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, Mr. Blocker, for wanting to do this with the previous board and this board carrying on that legacy. Thank you, Madam Chair, for letting me know. You all don't know what music does to me. I mean, one day you will learn and you will know. But I'll tell you, it is something. It's in your heart. I have seen children go. Jeff Redding is one of my students. That they were going to put him in EMH, and that is no secret. He tells it every year when he was teaching at West Orange. He would make me come over and tell his class, his teacher in elementary school wanted to assign him to an EMH class. Jeff Redding now is I have many students that came out of the schools in which I taught that are all music teachers and professors. And now Jeff Redding is over the choir, I think the chorus at the University of Central Florida with a PhD that he earned while he was still teaching at West Orange. And that's just one of the hundreds of stories that I have. I mean, children, it's just so many. One day maybe we'll put a book together. of all of the students in Orange County that have made success. The Mosbys, I can go on and on. But I love you guys. I thank you. Music in our school is so important. Every child ought to be singing and dancing and performing and playing an instrument. Every child, every child. Thank you so very much. This is dear to me. I am in tears. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Dr. Gordon, we're going to assign you a project when you retire, and that is to work on that book. Because I think telling those stories,
no
no,
more books,
I'm
no more
dead
books.
serious about it, guys. I think telling
guys,
those
no more.
stories, right? Whoa. Okay,
Lord.
powerful. Let's hear from another huge advocate of the arts, and that's Vice Chair Gould.
Well, there were some words I want to lift and add to fierce. You know, when you meet Scott, you would never think he's fierce.
No.
But when you start to talk to him about any of the arts programs and what it means to not only our children, but truly reunites our community, and I've seen it over and over and over again. It not only unites, but it creates those bridges, whether it's through music, the amazing photography we have in our lobby right now. And anybody who's listening to this, I would tell you to come and see the gallery in the lobby of the center here. It's outstanding. But he leads up. There's never a question since I've been on this board, well, maybe once, where we were talking about budget decisions we might have to make and the arts came up, and it was fleeting because we understand that not only does it build the bridge and it unites and it enhances education, but it builds skills. It builds those things that we want for our young people, those tools that they need, whether they pursue that as a career or they go on to be a doctor, an accountant, a welder, a mechanic, a drywaller. They learn skills through the arts programs that they cannot learn in any other way. And that's if they have it as a class or they do it as extracurricular. It is impactful, and it unlocks the brain to be able to think about other things and accept different cultures and different ways of life. And I think for that, we are truly blessed in the Central Florida area, and especially in Orange County, because the arts are alive and well in our school system, which makes them alive and well in our community. And that I'm so humbled by the award that you gave us, but it really is champion administrators and our teachers that blow us away every time we have a program out in the community, and blow the entire community away when they see it, that make that happen. And thank you for leading up and always championing, and for being fierce in such a nice, mild, and pleasant way.
Well said, well said. Member Byrd.
Well, I'm just going to ditto everything that both of my school board members have already said, but they are so right about everything having to do with Scott. I've got personal stories of people that he's helped, music programs that he's helped, and he's such an asset to this community, to this school district. So we're so proud and thankful to have him. I'm thrilled by all of this too. I'm an arts kid. I was a arts kid in school. I was a drama and chorus girl, and the friends I made in those programs are still friends of mine today. So I understand that these programs are not only do the things that Dr. Gordon talked about unlocking certain parts of the brain, and they're good for learning and education, but they really ground these students to their schools. They connect them to their schools that they just don't get in other ways. And the other thing that they do that I think sometimes we don't talk about a lot is they provide like a sense of peace to these kids. You know, these kids, we talk about it all the time, are under a lot of stress these days. And they're going through a lot, especially now with the pandemic. And I know that these kids take their arts seriously. And when they walk into those arts classrooms and they get to either perform or draw or read music and write music and do all the things that they do, it's their release. It's their way to feel at peace and relieve some of that stress that they're feeling. So it's really important. And I feel so blessed to be a part of this school district that embraces it in such a way. And I do have to say that no matter what we say up here, I think that we all feed off of our superintendent, who is just such an advocate for it as well. And none of this would be as good as it is if it wasn't for her advocating. She has always been a fierce advocate, as far as I could tell, of all the arts programs. So we're so thankful for that. But seriously, Scott, thank you. And anything that we do, it's just, as Member Gold said, just a reflection of your leadership, and you've just done a tremendous job. So thank you.
Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know that I can say it any better than my fellow board members have already said it. They were so eloquent. But I just want to say thank you for this prestigious award. We're so honored, and we're so happy to have Scott Evans as a part of our team, and his passion for arts surely comes through. You can tell it by the words that everybody says about him. So thank you. I was not an artsy kid. I couldn't draw. I was a drama queen, but I didn't perform. But I can appreciate the arts, and as Member Byrd says, how it connects our students with their school, whether it's musical, whether it's singing, whether it's the written, the pictures that they draw. It's also important, and for some kids, it might be the only reason that they remain in school. So it does keep them connected, and it does have them. It takes them to a higher level academically. We have studies that show that. So thank you to everybody, to all of our teachers who are amazing, and everybody who just makes us look good, and then we win an award because we really didn't do much. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Gallo. And Member Covert.
Thank you. I want to echo those eloquent words of my fellow board members as well. We are so fortunate to have Scott Evans leading our arts programs. I met him before he came to OCPS, and he was a champion for the arts in the community at large. And so to have him here leading the program for our schools, there could not be anyone better. I have watched him scour the country for the best possible programs and ideas to bring back here for our children. I have 3 children who are all beautiful, brilliant musicians who play multiple instruments, and that is only because they attended Orange County Public Schools. I did not have that opportunity growing up, and so for my 3 children to be these fabulous musicians as a result of their attendance in our schools makes me very, very proud. And I really want to thank both of our principals for their support and our teachers. During this time, to continue arts education is an extraordinary feat. Last week, I spent some time out at Cypress Creek High School with my theater teachers, Chris Kahn and Jeff Williams, who are incredibly devoted to their students. And I watched them teach hybrid classes with a handful of students in person and the rest of them online, and find a way for them to engage in theater and drama. And their set from last year, from March, sits unused on their stage. But they have figured out a way to do this, and it is absolutely extraordinary. And you know, I asked them, how did you learn all of this technology? And they said it wasn't easy, it was challenging, but they kept at it, that the district gave them some resources, some training. They brought out, trainers from Microsoft Teams and all kinds of other resources, and they found a way to continue to engage our students in the arts during this time. And so for that, I am so humbled and so grateful to all of our arts educators for what you're able to do for all of our students. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Member Covert. Let's hear from Member Lopez.
We are so honored to have you. You're always very inclusive. I cannot imagine the Hispanic celebration tomorrow without the artworks that you find and posted in videos, and I can see your leadership and your commitment with our students and with the arts. It was amazing. I immediately share in all my platforms in social media. Thank you so much for your support. Gracias, and thank you for being so inclusive.
Thank you, Member Lopez. I think everybody said just about everything there is to say. I think the only group we haven't thanked is our incredible students and our voters, the citizens of Orange County, who also have reminded us through their vote that arts matter, that athletics matter, that there's more to what takes place here in Orange County Public Schools that matters than just academics. So we're very blessed here in Orange County. So with that, Scott, our fierce, nice leader, thank you so much. You're so inspiring to all of us. And we are not finished, though. We're finished with Scott. I'm inclined to ask Scott to read the next part of the agenda, because we're now going to recognize, and by the way, let me pause for a minute to thank the Florida Alliance for Arts Education for recognizing, as our vice chair said, we're humbled, but we're ecstatic about you recognizing Scott. So you see what we see every day. As I said, we're very blessed here.
Very small piece of lucite that just represents everything and all of you have done, so thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to be here with us in person. We have another administrator to recognize, and this is where I was inclined to call in Scott. Just a few weeks ago, a virtual awards ceremony was held, and Associate Superintendent of Curriculum and Digital Learning, Rob Bixler, accepted on behalf of the entire team the 2020 Outstanding Professional Learning Practices Award. The team in the Curriculum and Digital Learning Department earned the attention after creating IMPACT Impact, which is part of professional development for content area teachers. I'd like to invite Mr. Bixler to come to the podium and tell us a little bit about his team, unless, of course, Mr. Evans would like to come to the podium and tell us a little bit about Mr. Bixler.
You didn't tell me I had to stand up here and speak. 2 years ago, I was with Dr. Vasquez, and I had this crazy idea about working directly with classroom teachers and having my team work directly with them. It's called Impact, Improving Mastery of Pedagogy and Content Training. And she said, talk to the superintendent. So I'm like, oh goodness, okay. So Dr. Jenkins and I were at a conference, and I said, do you have time for me to kind of share an idea with you? She said, absolutely. So we sat and I talked. She sat very quietly. And she said, is it about helping teachers? I said, let me tell you why. She looked at me and she said, make it happen. So for the last 2 years, my department has teamed with classroom teachers working on pedagogy and content, where it brings teachers across the district together. It was a huge success last year, and it was such a huge success that we were asked to do it again by the classroom teachers, but our pandemic caused a little bit of a problem. And so we were asked to find a creative way to do it. Last year, we worked with about 800 teachers throughout the course of the year, several times during the year. So this year, we tried it via virtual. We have almost 2,000 this year, because we're doing it after hours, and we're working with content teachers in grades kindergarten through all the subject areas. And my team partners with them, and they work from across the district. We talk about content, pedagogy, standards, share best practices across the district, and they absolutely love it. So I've done this job for many years, and I can tell you without a doubt, and this year we also are partnering with administrators as well. We have a great partnership with our learning community administrators, our school principals, and classroom teachers. I've done this for 30 years now, and I have to tell you, when it's all said and done, I'm most proud of the impact trainings that we've been doing, because it truly goes directly for what this is all about, making our teachers feel successful, making them feel the value of how much we appreciate what they do every day, and I know it impacts our kids. So thank you for letting me have at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And let me just a quick comment on that. I think it's so important. I think it is so consistent with what this board believes, and that is there is so much power and intellect in our teachers, and using them to help develop the training materials that they need is the most logical thing to do, but it also reinforces that we understand where the real impact is, and we're utilizing them in the best way possible. So thank you for that. I'm just beyond excited. Okay, we have a number of proclamations, but before we get to proclamations, we have one other recognition. And as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we conclude this week without, I don't want to conclude this week without acknowledging our very own board member, Joanna Lopez. Many of you know about Joanna. She's not just a board member, but she is an exceptional teacher. We felt it was absolutely necessary that you also have an opportunity, Ms. Member Lopez, to have a recognition on display in the lobby. So we have for you your very own pop-up highlighting your accomplishments as a leader in the Hispanic community. Member Lopez, congratulations on all of your achievements. And I know here in Orange County Public Schools that you are no place close to finished. You're just beginning to show your true colors here in Orange County and on the board. And we love serving with you. We're excited to have somebody of your caliber on the board representing not just teachers and parents and children and everyone else, but also representing the Hispanic community with such pride and such grace. Member Lopez, do you have a few words for us?
What a surprise. Thank you. You know that I don't want to cry. I highly appreciate it. Everything that I do, I don't do it for any recognition. I really feel committed to my students and my community. So Orange County Public School make a difference in my family and my children. I believe in arts. My daughter played the trumpet, the other one the trombone, the other one the piano. So and I love to dance salsa. So we love arts, and it's an amazing experience to be elected as well from my community. So I'm just here to serve and to represent my students and the teachers and janitors, bus drivers, everybody, non-instructional and instructional staff members, and also my family. I say thank you so much and highly appreciate this.
Well, I don't think you can't know Member Lopez and not know that she is so committed. Okay, Dr. Jenkins, I have a number of proclamations. Do we have anything else before I get to proclamations? No, okay. So our first proclamation is proclaiming October 15th, 2020 as White Cane Awareness Day in Orange County Public Schools. We have a number of proclamations, as I mentioned. I wanted to take just a moment because I think for most of the other proclamations, we know what they're about. But for anyone who doesn't know what White Cane Awareness is, white cane symbolizes the cane that blind people use. And this proclamation is extremely important from an awareness standpoint, again, because, as I mentioned, people don't know what it's about. Blind people are protected under the law, and it's important for people to know if you're a motorist or a cyclist and if you see somebody with a white cane that's blind, that you have a higher degree of responsibility to make sure that you are cautious around them. But equally, or maybe more important in my mind, it also calls upon employers, both public and private, to be aware of and utilize the employment skills of our blind citizens by recognizing their worth as individuals and their productive capacities. I think this is one of the most amazing things to me, is as I began to realize the incredible skills that blind people have. We tend to think it's what they don't have, but their ability to utilize their other senses makes them incredibly valuable in the workforce. And so for that reason, we here in Orange County Public Schools wanted to celebrate White Cane Awareness Day by allowing us to appreciate the accomplishments of our students with vision impairments, their parents, their teachers, and staff here in Orange County schools that support them. We also are recognizing and proclaiming October 17th through the 23rd as Americans Safe Schools Week in Orange County Public Schools. We are proclaiming October 19th through the 23rd as School Bus Safety Week in Orange County Public Schools. We're proclaiming October 23rd through the 31st as Red Ribbon Week in Orange County Public Schools. And so we have a lot that we are celebrating over these next couple of weeks, and we ask everyone here to join us in those celebrations. Dr. Jenkins, do we have any updates for the strategic plan? I don't believe we do. Okay. Let's move on then to the business portion of our meeting. You all are free to go. Thank you so much for coming. Dr. Jenkins, I think we have one change to the consent agenda. We need to pull 501. Okay. So let's pull item 501, and we will take that up separately under the non-agenda, non-consent agenda. Is there a motion to amend the consent agenda to remove item 501 and place it on the non-consent agenda as, what is that, 1701? Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Oh, there's a motion by Member Gould, and a second by Member Lopez. Okay, thank you. Let's do a quick roll call vote, and this is just on amending the agenda. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Coburn?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
Trying to unmute. Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Casterdental?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
And I likewise vote in the affirmative. And now we are poised to vote on the consent agenda. If there aren't any questions from board members, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll move to approve.
A motion by Member Byrd. Is there a second? Second by Member Gallo. Roll call vote. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
Aye.
Dr. Casterdental?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
And likewise, I vote in the affirmative. The motion passes unanimously. We will move on to item 301. We do have, by the way, we do have a number of speakers for public comment, and we will take those up as we get to them. We are on item 301, public hearing request to approval of proposed board policy EBBA, disease prevention face coverings. And Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized. Oh, I'm sorry. Member Gould wished to be recognized before we get to this. Member Gould, I apologize.
That's okay. I'm going to roll it over to BBVA.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Jenkins, and then we'll go to you in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is your final adoption of a policy that was put in place as an emergency policy. It has been gone through rule development. It is also known as our face mask policy. This is the opportunity for final public input and approval by the board.
All right, thank you. And I'm just checking. We have comments on item 501, which is now 1701. We're not ready for that. And the other comments that we have, I believe, are on rezoning. So if there is no one here to speak to the policy EBBA, which is item 301, any members of the public here to speak on 301? Okay, Vice Chair Gould, you're recognized.
It's before we take the roll call vote on that, I just wanted to clarify, I've gotten several emails this week about the face mask policy, and I want to make sure everybody understands that we are not lifting the face mask policy. All it did was kind of clarify when people are alone in a closed-door room that they may remove, but we are not changing any rules. We are still complying with CDC recommendations and the county recommendations and all that. So that's all I wanted to say, was just to make sure everyone was aware and clear that the health and safety protocols are still fully in place.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gould. All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Gould. Is there a second? Second by Member Gallo. Roll call vote. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
Aye.
Dr. Casterdental?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
And likewise, I vote in the affirmative. Motion passes unanimously. And Vice Chair Gould, thank you for expressing that clarification. I've gotten some of those same emails. We're on item 3.02, public hearing, request approval of board policy JCA, assignment of students to schools. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Likewise, this policy was adopted in an emergency policy because of COVID-19. It has to do with the assignment of students and preserving those assignments after the COVID-19 issues that we have dealt with. Policy JCA needs your final vote of approval tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Are there any questions? I'll pause for a minute. And we have no members of the public here on this issue. Is there a motion to approve the policy?
So moved.
I'm sorry, I'll take that. Colbert, thank you. Motion by Member Colbert, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Member Byrd. Roll call vote. Member Gallo.
Aye.
Member Lopez.
Aye.
Member Colbert.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould.
Aye.
Dr. Gordon.
Aye.
Dr. Castrodental.
Aye.
Member Byrd.
Aye.
Likewise, I vote in the affirmative. Motion carries unanimously. We are now on item 3.03, request approval of proposed board policy JFBD, Magnet Schools Program Policy. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Likewise, this policy specifically was approved as an emergency. It preserves, and now it's ready to have its formal approval. It preserves magnet status of students who are accepted into programs after going through the pandemic and our special school assignments.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Again, we have no members of the public that are in the audience to speak to item 3.04. Unless I hear from board members' comments, I will entertain a motion.
So moved, Chair. Member Colbert.
Thank you, Member Colbert. We have a motion from Member Colbert. Is there a second? Second from Member Lopez. Roll call vote. Member Gallo.
Aye.
Member Lopez.
Aye.
Member Colbert.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould.
Aye.
Dr. Gordon.
Aye.
Dr. Castrodental.
Aye.
Member Byrd.
Aye.
And likewise, I vote in the affirmative. Motion carries unanimous. We are now on item 3.04, public hearing. Request approval of the rezoning for 43-E-SE-2 to commence August 2021. And we do, I'm checking, I believe, no, I don't think we have comments on item 304. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dr. McGowan will walk us through the next 4 rezoning approvals
Great.
for your final approval.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, and good evening, Board. But prior to beginning our presentation, I'd like to present staff that's here with me to present. We have Stacy Neal, Dr. Andy Westerman, and Renata Parapche. This evening, as we start our rezoning, we are under School Board Policy JC. No matter how small a rezoning, we follow this policy. There are 8 steps within the policy that are shown on our slide. We are now at step 7, which is the public hearing. We have 3 rezoning types for our knowledge base and our use here. We have a technical, which involves no students. We have a targeted, which some students are involved. And we open relief schools where a large number of students are involved. Each of these rezoning types come under our school board policy. For this rezoning timeline, we started in March. We had to postpone due to our closure, and we picked back up around Labor Day. And tonight we're at the final step of the public hearing. We have a way to name our schools to be consistent as we go through. Our relief school naming convention is 43, or the first is the number, which is a real estate property number. The E stands for elementary, or whichever level of school we're working with. The SE in this case is the Southeast Learning Community, and our last number is the school board member district. This name for our school remains until we get the official name as we go longer in the project. As part of rezoning, we have something called a grandfathered transfer, which allows certain students to remain at a school. So if a student has been rezoned 2 or more times by OCPS at the same address, they may remain. If a student is being moved from an established school to an established school, they can remain. Or if it's a 5th or rising 5th or 8th grader, they can remain. Transportation's not provided, and each student has to meet the eligibility requirement. With the grandfathered transfer, we do have it set up on the website so folks can get to it easily, and it's under the big green transfer button. We want input from our community, and we provide 3 formats for them to provide to us. We have an electronic community survey. Folks can email, or we can have a petition. We also have, as part of our process, a residential development layer. And this layer takes each of the residential developments as we get from the county and the city, and we determine the number of students who could possibly come from that development, and we code it so we can see how things are progressing. In this example, the pink-red color means that the development is underway. The green means it's platted, which we will see rooftops within 18 months. And the purple is planned. Nothing started yet, but it's coming. Some points about the data that you see this evening. You will see the data that we presented in March of 2020. We have not changed it so that we were consistent across the way. You will also hear the phrase proposed resides. This is showing an area that's in the proposed zone, but the number of students that are residing in that proposed zone at this moment. All of the rezonings for this evening will commence in August of 2021. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Neal, who will walk us through 43E SE2.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Neal.
Good evening. So at this time, I would like to orient you to our map. Sorry, got it. Okay, so the red lines represent the current 2021 elementary school boundary lines. You can see Laureate Park, and now I'm circling site 43E, sorry, and it's not coming through. SE2, which is north of State Road 417. Presently, Narcoossee Road is the dividing line for Laureate Park and Eagle Creek Elementary. And to the south, you'll see is the Osceola border. The advertised option for 43E SE2 is here. The shaded areas represent the proposed new school zones. In yellow is 43E SE2. Directly below in purple represents the proposed zone for Laureate Park Elementary, and to the right of Laureate in green is the proposed Eagle Creek Elementary School Zone. Let me point out on each map you will see data squares for each proposed zone, starting with the new 43E SE2. In parentheses, you will see PPC, and PPC stands for Permanent Program Capacity. And for 43E SE2, the permanent program capacity is 791. Proposed resides is 672, and projected for the 2021 school year is 665 to 705. Laureate Park Elementary School has a permanent program capacity of 791, with proposed resides 698 and projected 860 to 900. Eagle Creek Elementary has a permanent program capacity of 786, proposed resides 660, and projected 680 to 720. The advertised data table, which contains the information from the data bubble located on the map, it also has additional information. Let me walk you through. The first column is the school's program capacity, and we're going to look at Eagle Creek Elementary. With a program capacity of 786 and the school's enrollment from November 15 of 2019, which is 1,021. Below that is the school's current race and ethnicity percentages, with 79% white, 9% black, 12% other, 39% non-Hispanic, and 61% Hispanic. The third column is the number of students currently residing in the zone, and that is 1,043. The fourth column represents the proposed number of students residing in that zone based on this option, which is 660, and the race and ethnicity percentages, 77% white, 10% black, 13% other, 47% non-Hispanic, and 53% Hispanic. With projected students for the 2021 school year, 680 to 720. The fifth column is called FARMS, which stands for Free and Reduced Meals, and the percentage of students who qualify for free and reduced meals, current and proposed. For Eagle Creek, 37% and current and proposed 30%. The sixth column is for exceptional student education, current and proposed, 8% current and 7% proposed. The seventh and final column represents students who are English language learners, current and proposed, 28% current and 24% proposed. I'll give you a moment to review the table. As of September 15, 2020, we've received no further input. This concludes my presentation of 43E SE2. Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. So at this time, we have no comments from the public. We have been fully through the process. If there are any questions from board members or discussion, I'll entertain that at this time. And if not, I'll entertain a motion. Motion from Member Lopez. Do we have a second? Motion by Member Lopez, seconded by Member Gallo. Let's do a roll call vote. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Colbert? Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
Aye.
Dr. Castor-Denel?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
And I likewise vote in the affirmative. Motion carries unanimously. All right, Dr. Jenkins?
Good evening. I'll be speaking about 80HSW4. First, let me orient you through the map. The blue lines represent the 2020-21 high school boundary lines. The main roads are I-4 to the county line, John Young Parkway, the Turnpike, Apopka Vineland Road, and then starting in the middle, you see Dr. Phillips High School and Freedom High School. This next slide shows the development layer. Yellow is planned, peach is platted, and pink is underway. And the new building is shown here in the middle of all this new development. This advertised option has the colored shaded areas representing proposed lines for each of the involved schools. Dr. Phillips is in blue, Freedom High School in salmon, and the new 80HSW4 school is in yellow. Next to each school, we have the text box with information including the name of the school, permanent program capacity, the number of students currently residing in the shaded area, and the number of students projected for the 2021-2022 school year. We have the table here to give you an overview of the demographic information. The first column has the school name with the permanent program capacity. The second column presents school enrollment on November 15th, 2019 with a percentage for race as white, black, and other, and ethnicity as non-Hispanic and Hispanic. The next column is a snapshot of the current data. The next columns contain proposed number of students residing in the zone with the race and ethnicity information and the projected number for the proposed zones. The next three columns list the current and proposed percentage of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch meals, who are in the Exceptional Student Education Program, and who are in the English Language Learners Program. I'll give you a moment to review the data. Since our Rural Development Workshop, there has been additional input of 6 supporting and 1 opposing. There's also been a petition asking for the addition of Heritage Place to the Freedom High School zone. Dr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. We do have a member of the public, actually 2 members of the public that would like to speak to this item. We have, I believe it's Heidi Nazario? Heidi. Heidi. I am so sorry. And following Hetty, we have Ms. Nazario, we have Ms. Navas. And Ms. Nazario, I understand, are you speaking for a group?
For
Okay.
the community.
Okay, so 5 minutes, I believe, is our custom. If you can keep your comments to 5 minutes, we were really glad to have you here. Begin with your name and address, and we'll start the timer after that. Thank you.
Very nervous. I'm not a public
That's
speaker, so
okay.
I'm gonna
None
stutter
of us ever
probably
started out
this
as public
morning.
speakers. None of us bite, and we've all been there. So deep breath, and we're all friends.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Hetty Nazario. I live at 12724 Winfield Scott Boulevard, Orlando, Florida.
Walk a little closer to the mic. It really won't bite either.
Okay.
Thank you. You're doing great.
Okay. And I'm speaking representing our Heritage Place community, the parents, and the 236 family members that signed the petition, hoping that Heritage Place can be part of option 1, to be included to stay at Freedom High School. And we have the same reasons as Hunters Creek. Well, there are many reasons to choose us to be part of option 1. The 3 key points are accessibility and distance, community support, emotional concern for children and for the children and their families. I'm a current resident of Heritage Place, where I have resided since 2000. At current, I have a daughter who is a sophomore, who will be in the class of 2023, and she's very active in the student government, in the Monticello Academy, and the cheerleading team. She has volunteered at Freedom's throughout many events. She has bonded with these kids since elementary school. She went to school with them at John Young Elementary and Hunters Creek Middle School. So if these kids are rezoned, they won't have any of their friends with them. So this is why I'm doing this for our kids. Let me see. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Heritage Place, but we have 3 zones, and we only have one way in and one way out. Where I live, we actually back up to Hunters Creek. So it takes us a little longer to get out of the neighborhood. We have 2 high schools near us, which is Freedom and Cypress. And even on heavy traffic days, it takes us 20 minutes to get to Freedom. So I'd say at least 10 minutes just to get out of our community. Okay, I'm speaking to you with I'm sorry, I'm reading this. I'm speaking to you with complete disdain for the suggestion that it would be appropriate for high school children of Heritage Place to move to a school not only further in knowledge, but would take at least double the time to get to them versus the surrounding schools. These children would be forced to one of 3 options. They would have to pass Hunters Creek to get to the toll road, to get to the new school where there are high speeds, heavy traffic, and fees, and be a longer time period to get to the school, even with the tolls. Or they would have to take the local route where they would pass Freedom High School, and it would take at least another 30 minutes just to get to the new zone. And the last option would be they would have to take the bus, and again, they already get up at really early. They have to be there like about 6:15 in the morning for the school bus. Now they'd have to probably get up be there for the school bus at about 5:30 to get there, because there's all of the stops. Lastly, these items we raise to take into consideration is the heavy participation of our students. They're all in band and sports and student government and all these after-school activities, and they go back and forth, and with that long drive, it's just going to be hard on the parents and hard on the students. What else do I have? I can't even. I'm sorry, 1 second. Let's see, we are a tight-knit community. We lean on each other. When kids need to be picked up at school or a kid gets sick, I mean, we help each other out. So it would be a lot harder to find somebody to go get our kids if something does happen, or if they have to go to an event. It would make it so much harder for us, and especially for me, because I'm a single parent. So I count on my friends, and they count. We all count on each other to take the kids to school, pick them up, and take them to all the various school activities. And yes, it takes a village to raise a child, and we do definitely do that. And finally, the emotional support, which would be a key factor in the decision, especially given the upset of these children and their families have endured over the last 6 months dealing with COVID. Many families have had to deal with virtual learning as well as other social, financial, and emotional issues that have been tough on us as adults, but our children probably have had it the toughest because they haven't seen their friends, and they're looking forward to see their friends, and now to have to go to a new school is very traumatizing for them. So that's all I have. Please note that in addition to the slides, we have supplied the Director of Student Enrollment the formal copy of the signatures and the petition and the comments from the parents. And given the items we've detailed today, we hope that you take our consideration into account to support the emotional being of our children. We hope you've heard our concerns, and thank you very much for letting us speak.
And you have 6 seconds left. So I would say you may not be happy with yourself with public speaking, but as far as we're concerned, you did a phenomenal job.
Oh my
So
God, I'm like,
thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Ms. Navas.
She has been dying all day.
Oh, she did so good. It's over.
I appreciate, because she has taken a lead on this for
Yes.
us parents, and I really appreciate everything she has done for us.
Well, especially if it's hard, public speaking is hard for you, so
It's
yeah,
hard
that's
for
awesome.
everybody. I'm shaking, so.
Aw, we're all nice
Um,
people up here, we really are.
Well,
Thank
my
you for
name is
being here.
Karen Navas, and I live at 12540 Lynchburg Court. I've been there since 1997. I have a child that graduated from Freedom High School in 2019, and I currently have a freshman that will be a class of 2024, who is extremely active in sports, football, volleyball, track, and field. He's a sports kid. Thank you for allowing us to come here and speak on behalf of our small community located just next of Hunters Creek. And due to the proximity to Hunters Creek, our children have been part of the community of Hunters Creek, and this is why we asked to be included in option 1. The main reasons are commute. We are right next to Hunters Creek, and there's only 2 ways for us to get to the new school. Either take 417, which is the high speed, we have to pay tolls, or we have to take the longer route, which is up on Central Florida Parkway, and with traffic, it would just take over 30 minutes for us to get there, or our kids were new drivers. I am a working parent, and I rely on with friends from Hunters Creek community mainly for carpools. So if my child is in sports, if someone's a teammate at Hunters Creek, we help each other out to get them. Okay. So many families will be affected by this. Also, this will require for our children to leave our homes at much earlier times to be able to make it to the school on time. The social impact is our kids will be removed from their community, from what they have known since their early school years. They will be placed in brand new environments with all their friends that they, without all their friends that they grew up, that they'll be staying at Freedom High School. As of right now, many are impacted with what we are living with the COVID, and this will extremely be hard on them. I think our kids should stay with the community that they have been part since elementary school and even before then. I personally spoke to 9 parents in my street, and they agree with us. They don't want their kids moved from what they know. Please consider us in option 1. Our concerns are the same as Hunters Creek. The commute to the school obstacles are the same for us. Their concerns with the social impact on our kids are the same for us. Our kids have grown up with Hunters Creek community and during the elementary school with the Deerfield community and surroundings. All are staying at Freedom High School. My son's friends and anyone he knows are all from the Hunters Creek community, and a few that are not, they're all staying at Freedom. His football teammates, who he has played for years, and have looked forward to playing in high school together at Freedom. Thank you for taking your time and hearing our concerns, and we hope that you will consider us and leave our children to finish their school years with the community that they know and have grown up with.
Thank you. It's done.
Thank you, yes.
You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we've heard from the public. If there are any comments from the board or any questions, now would be the time. I see we have Member Cobert queued up, Member Cobert, and then Member Gould. And you all both share this population. Member Cobert.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, this new school combines portions of My Freedom High School and her Dr. Phillips High School. So I'm going to start by saying for the past 5 years, My Freedom community has been saying we're overcrowded, when are we going to get a relief school? Now we have a relief school, and then you hear parts of the public going, no, but not us, we don't want to go there. However, I've really looked at the population and the positioning of this little slice, Heritage Place. It really, knowing that community the way I do, really is a part of Hunters Creek. And the way it's situated, the way you come out of the community, I would like to support the advertised option, but request that we come back with a targeted rezoning to keep Heritage Place in Freedom High School. And I also want to thank Hetty and Karen for being such great advocates for the community. If you all had the opportunity to read their petition and their entire presentation that they put together, it really does lay out the case in a logical way that this small slice should remain with Freedom. So that will be my request of the board and of Dr. McGowan, that to approve the advertised option, but bring back this piece for targeted rezoning to stay in Freedom.
So,
Thank you.
is that in the form of a motion, Member Covert?
If that is if this is the appropriate time, that would be my motion, Chair.
Okay, we have a motion, and Vice Chair Gould, who shares this population of students.
I will second that motion, and as well as give my comments during this discussion period, if that's okay,
Absolutely.
Chair. You know, one of the wonderful things I enjoy about my colleagues on this board is we can't talk outside of right now about these things without posting it and having a public meeting. And Linda and I did not have a meeting since the last time this was presented. And in reviewing, you know, the facts that you put forward, the pattern of social time, little leagues, all of those things that you share in that area, it does not make sense. I drive down there periodically because I do have 2 schools down there, or 2.5, I call it, because one's on the border. But it is a difficult drive because you're passing a lot of commercial, you're passing 55-plus community. We know when tourism comes back, and it will, that will be a difficult drive, even with the alternative roadways. So for all those reasons that my colleague mentioned that you all presented, I absolutely support her motion and make that same recommendation to the board.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll do a roll call vote in just a minute, but let me add my comments to this rezoning request and the motion with the future direction. Having had the honor of serving as the District 1 County Commissioner many, many years ago, where I had both Hunters Creek and Dr. Phillips in my district, and having I was once awarded an honorary citizenship in Hunters Creek. Now, Hunters Creek doesn't obviously have its own citizens, so I think I'm like one of maybe the only citizen, but it was a great honor. And so knowing that community extremely well, and by the way, you have a wonderful community. You have such a sense of strong community, and I've always been very, very proud of Hunters Creek. And you spoke so well to the points that anybody who has lived down there or knows that area understands the huge, huge commute that just does not, this is not what schools are supposed to be. They should be a fabric of the community, and they have to be in the community to be that fabric. And so I want to applaud you for speaking up and crossing that bridge and coming here and being out of your comfort zone. It worked. It doesn't always work. Sometimes we have to make decisions people aren't happy with, but this is one that I'm proud to support. So let's do a roll call vote. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye.
Member Gould?
Aye.
Member Dr. Gordon?
Aye.
Dr. Kester-Daniel?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
Likewise, I vote in the affirmative. Motion carries unanimously.
Chair, may I?
Oh, please, Dr.
So just so that the ladies in the community, all that signed the petition, know, what will happen now is that we will ask Dr. McGowan and her group to go back and do a targeted rezoning for your component, and what was the option that was recommended during the last process of the public hearings will move forward. And it would be great if this could get done by January. Yes, and I'm getting a nod, yes, so that's a good thing.
We've
Dr.
directed
Jenkins.
staff, it won't take long.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jenkins. All right, Dr. Jenkins.
Next rezoning.
Good evening. Yes, the next one is 113 HW4, and I will orient you through the map. The blue lines represent 2020-21 high school boundary lines. On the west side is the Lake County line, and on the south is the Osceola County line. The hashed area is the Disney property. You can see Windermere High School, and north of Windermere High School is West Orange High School. On the east side is Olympia High School and Dr. Phillips High School. And the new school 113 HW4 is located by Seidel Road. On the next slide, you can see the development in the area. And advertised option includes West Orange High School and Windermere High School. The colored shaded areas represent proposed lines for each of the schools. The purple area is proposed Windermere High School. The yellow is proposed new school 113 HW4. And the green area is proposed West Orange High School. Next to each school, you have a text box with information, including the name of the school, permanent program capacity, number of students currently residing in the shaded area, and the number of students projected for 2021 and 22 school year. And we have the table with the data for the advertised option. First column has the school name with permanent program capacity. Second, school enrollment on November 15, 2019, with the percentage for race as white, black, and other, and ethnicity as non-Hispanic and Hispanic. The next column contains number of students residing in the current zone. The next column contains proposed number of students residing in the zone with the race and ethnicity information and the projected number for the proposed zones for 2021-22 school year. And the last three columns list current and proposed percentage of students who qualify for free introduced meals, who are in the exception student education program, and who are in the English language learners program. I'll give you a moment to review the numbers. And as of today, we received additional, after the rule development workshop, we received 28 families supporting advertised option and 152 opposing. And this concludes my presentation, Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you. All right, we do have one member of the public here to speak to this item, and it's Anthony Reifenberg, I believe is the pronunciation. Mr. Reifenberg, thank you for being here with us today. If you can give your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony Reifenberg. I'm at 15562 Avenue of the Arbors in Winter Garden, Florida, which is the independent subdivision of Horizon West, Winter Garden, etc. I've been a member of Orange County since 2005. Ironically, I used to live in Hunters Creek, and so I'm very familiar with Freedom High School. My older 2 children graduated from there and went through Hunters Creek schools. My younger 2, when we moved to our current home in 2017, my 3rd child was through Windermere High School. She just graduated in 2020, number 3 in her class, member of the Windermere softball varsity team. I know Miss Jacobs, you know her personally. My 4th child is currently a freshman at Windermere High School, also a softball player and also cross country. I come to you as a member of the community against option 2 of the rezoning. And being in Independence, I can see that the map has Independence being broken up. With the time of the COVID, Independence has done a great job of trying to keep the community together by having parades through the community, especially when my daughter graduated high school, because they had a virtual graduation. They had the mascot from Windermere High School on a float carrying through the community. By splitting up Independence to 2 high schools, Independence will no longer have a characteristic of 1 high school. In addition, Bridgewater Middle School will be split. It will be split on all of the options of how it will be routing to which high school. Independence Elementary also will be split. So children that, even though my children will be through the system by then, kids that are meeting each other as peers today in Independence Elementary, looking forward, will be going to different high schools. In addition, Scott Pine Park is where the football fields and track fields are for Windermere High School, because at the time of the building of Windermere High School, they would not allow a football stadium at that school. The Scott Pine Park is across the street from Independence Community. It's actually right at the entrance of Independence Community, much closer than the high school it is itself. If we were to go with the map that we have, the bus stop for my daughter would actually have to go through the zone of the new Horizon West High School. In addition, as my daughter started the program, we went through all of the building up of the new school, so we are familiar with all of the administration. We'd want to continue that. My recommendation is to keep Independence together and look at options either 3 or 4 or some other rezoning. Thank you for your time. And
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, let's open it up to board question or discussion or a motion.
I think I'm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Member Gould. I was waiting.
Dr. Jenkins, is it okay if I ask the staff some questions about the numbers and things? The Horizon West footprint, because of the way the communities are laid out and that the high school sites were chosen a little later than all of the elementary and the middle school sites, does present some challenges when trying to keep communities together. Dr. McGowan, could you just talk a little bit about the numbers and what the impact would be if we tried to keep all of Independence together? Because Independence is a very large footprint community. The villages are very large footprint communities. And just what that would imply.
If we think of the Independence Elementary School zone, we'll kind of start there. It's kind of sitting right in between the 2 schools. And so when all the options, you could see that area, because of its locale, got moved back and forth trying to find the right numbers. You're looking in the Independence Elementary zone, if I'm not mistaken, several hundred high school students. And we were trying very hard not to separate a neighborhood. So the Independence community called Independence, we worked hard to keep them together, but we could not find a way to keep all of Independence Elementary together as we went through with all the designs. The numbers of students within that central part made it very tricky to try to separate to give us some balance between the 2 schools.
Mm-hmm. And just, to try to put this into perspective for my fellow board members, because the densities are a little different with this planned community, there are 4 elementary schools that I'm counting off the top of my head that serve Independence alone. Well, some blend, but they serve Independence.
General area.
In that general area and components of, so it's Independence Elementary, it's Keenes Crossing, parts of Bay Lake. It's a lot, yeah. Yes. So it makes it really, really, really hard to find those natural dividing lines. So at this point, I would like to move forward the recommendation and continue to look at it. As you heard, there are always opportunities for some targeted rezonings in the future, and we have done that in Horizons West as we've kind of seen how those neighborhoods continue to grow out, because it is all brand new. As you get on that leading edge every time, sometimes it just shifts a couple of miles and it makes all the difference in the world. So what we're planning based on what's active development now sometimes makes a little shift. COVID could have an impact on that. You know, we were back to rapid rates of sales, and I know sales have continued to be good and development is still going on, but I don't know that we're going to really know the full effects of what's happening right now on our growth until we get at least 6 months into next year. That's my opinion, not any big analysis, but so at this point, it is my recommendation that we move forward with the staff and the superintendent's recommendation and continue to watch this as we do just about every rezoning in Horizon West we do, because they are, the middle schools and the high schools in particular, the elementary schools, while there's some shuffling that has to happen there sometimes because roadways don't go the way we think they might go, or their access points are a little different, they're a little neater. When you get to that next layer and then the top layer of the high school, it becomes a little more complicated with the densities.
Okay, so that's in the form of a motion.
Yes, I would move that motion forward. Thank
All
you.
right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion by member Vice Chair Gould. Do we have a second? Second by member Gallo. I'll do roll call vote in a moment. Let me just, I want to echo your sentiments about whether this may be one of the times when a targeted rezoning makes sense too. Because as I look at this and not probably knowing this area as well as you do at this point, because you're out there more often than I am, but it doesn't lay itself out as well as we had hoped regarding high schools. But when I look at the number of students projected for Windermere High School, it looks to be on the low end. And I appreciate your comment very much about the proximity. I know very well Scott Pine Park. I know your community. I have no idea what we're hearing right now.
They got kicked out of their facility.
Okay, that was odd. But I understand, as soon as you point out where you are in relationship to the park, how close you are to the school, how close you are to the fields, that area just north of the lake there from Porter Road. Okay. Is an area that we could take a look. I know there's a reason you don't have it in there right now, but I would support your desire to revisit that, to look at it. Not a commitment we would do that, but it's open for revisiting. So with that, I will support the motion. Let me go to Member Gallo for a roll call vote. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
I went into this.
Dr. Gordon?
I wasn't, this was my last.
Just for the record, those voices are not voices of any board members. We're not quite sure who has gotten into our line, but it's not any of us. Dr. Gordon, are you able to vote right now?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Are you in support or in opposition?
I'm in support.
Thank you. Dr. Castrodental?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
And likewise, I'll vote in the affirmative. The motion carries unanimously. And I also just want to take a minute to commend you as a parent. What a phenomenal success your kids are. And that doesn't happen without great parenting. So, as you rattled off all the things they've been involved with, you've just done a tremendous job. So anyway, I just want to applaud you and your kids, all right? And thank you for being here. And we really aren't a mean group of people. We really aren't. Thank you, sir. All right, back to you, Ms. Gallen.
Thank you, ma'am. Last but not least is 65MW4. And this school is to relieve Bridgewater Middle School, which is outlined in the green. And will show you the growth in the area and point out that when 65 opens in its building, it's in the center of the growth at the bottom of the map. 65 is in the area of yellow on our map, and the purple would be the Bridgewater. And our text boxes on each side does give you the permanent program capacity, the estimated number of students when it opens, and the number of students there now. If we look at our advertised option and you look at our data table, has been explained to you several times this evening. I'm going to give you a minute to take a look at it. Again, but one thing I will point out is on the proposed resides column for the new school, you could see that in the spring this past year, there was 207 students that lived in that zone. And it's anticipated it'll be about 500 when we open in August. Part of this idea, if you accept this plan, is that the students from 65 will be housed in 113 for 2 years until their building is built to open in 2023. So while the numbers look very low here, they help us provide relief to Bridgewater and have students in the building and will be able to move forward in a timely way. Since our rural development workshop in September, we have received 3 additional responses, 2 in support and 1 opposed. And Superintendent?
Thank you. We have no members of the public, just to check. I don't believe we have any members of the public here on this item. So I will open it to board discussion or a motion. And Member Gould, I see you're recognized.
So, since this came through our workshop, we have had our first meeting with some parents who experienced this dual occupation in Lake Nona, with some of the parents who had concerns about the dual occupation at this new site. And I think a lot of questions were answered. I think they got to meet the high school principal and her talking about the way that an administrator would be really dedicated to the middle school, that the middle school would still have its identity, but at the same time kind of get the benefits that a lot of the students and the parents discussed that happened at Lake Nona, which was really interesting to hear the students' perspectives on this and their retrospective. I think it's been a little bit more accepted from those that were sort of fearful about it. It will do wonders for Bridgewater. Bridgewater, we've relieved it twice so far. And the community is just astounding there. They work together. It's a finely run school, but it will be better if we can give a little elbow room to these middle schoolers and give them their own identity and get them together, I think, as quickly as we possibly can with their teachers and in a space that's more accommodating. It'll help with traffic. It'll help with the progressive plan. So I wanted to put a little, because this is different, we're actually rezoning folks for a future school that will reside in what I call a swing space. I wanted to make sure people understood that, and that it's not the intent to lessen the experience, but actually take advantage and enhance it as much as possible under these circumstances, and still have benefit both Bridgewater and the new school. So with that, I will make a motion to move this forward.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Chair Gould. Do we have a second? A second by Member Byrd. And I will call for the question in just a minute. I do want to recognize your leadership on this, and I want to thank you for that. I was not aware of the situation in Lake Nona, and when you brought it up at the last meeting about bringing those two groups together, it took a lot of extra work on your behalf, but was well worth it in terms of building a sense of comfort and support for it. So thank you for exercising that leadership. And in getting us to where we are. So let's do a roll call vote. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
Aye.
Dr. Castellano?
Aye.
Member Byrd?
Aye.
Likewise, I vote in the affirmative. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, we have already approved the consent agenda. We're on informational items. Dr. Jenkins, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what?
1701.
Oh, I'm
is a
sorry, we do have to take
non-consent.
up 1701. Thank you very much. We pulled item 501 from the consent agenda, and I believe we pulled it expressly so that that our I'm sorry, that Member Lopez could abstain from voting on that. So let's take up 1701 at this time. And Dr. Jenkins, let me call on you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, Member Lopez will need to make a statement. This is a minor issue. I don't want anyone to be alarmed. It has to do with her being on leave from her teaching profession. So she has to make the public statement and then abstain from voting on the consent.
Absolutely.
On the personnel agenda.
Absolutely. And I think there's this minor piece of paperwork. Member Lopez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pursuant to Section 112.3143 Florida statutes, I am abstaining from voting in my official capacity on item 5.01 due to a conflict of interest which would ensure to my benefit. It contains the approval of my leaves of absences as a teacher. It is important to candidly disclose this conflict and publicly state that I am abstaining from voting. I will also be filing Form 8B, which is the Memorandum of Voting Conflict for county, municipal, and other local public officers with the Florida Commission of Ethics. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Lopez. All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve 1701. Motion by Member Gallo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Member Gallo, seconded by Vice Chair Gould. And a roll call vote. Member Gallo.
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
No, abstain. Member Lopez?
I'm sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
Yes, you just
Just so you know, I did that once
Nay,
myself.
nay,
No,
I
not
know.
nay either. You just simply say I
Say
abstain.
it for the record.
I
Nay.
abstain. No,
No.
abstain.
I abstain.
Abstain, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I still have to call on you so that you can formally abstain. Member Cobert.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould.
Aye.
Dr. Gordon.
Aye.
Dr. Castellano.
Aye.
Member Byrd.
Aye.
Likewise, I vote in the affirmative. And I want to echo the words of Dr. Jenkins. This is not about any special treatment for Member Lopez because she can no longer be in a teaching position while she is on the board. She's taken a leave of absence. And this particular item addresses everyone who's taken a leave of absence. And it would be improper for her to vote on anything that directly affects her. So she's doing what she is statutorily required to do, but she is receiving no special benefit. All right, let's move on then to Dr. Jenkins for superintendent report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just a couple of things I would mention to you. Number one, this is the first day of our second grading period, and so over 15,000 of our students returned to face-to-face instruction today. I think it's important to note that equates to about 42% of our student population. We still have the majority of our students receiving their instruction at home, which we certainly appreciate. Commend those parents as well. I think it's important to thank our administrators who have been pulling their hair out to adjust all of those schedules to accommodate 15,000 additional students. It's also a time to thank our teachers, many of whom had an opportunity to teach Launch Ed from home and then had to be asked to return to the school site, to the school building because of those students returning. The most complicated issue is around actually trying to get students in neat little bundles so that we have as many teachers teaching on one venue or the other. Just doesn't always work out that way. So a special thanks to those teachers who have to teach blended classrooms with both in-person and students on the Launch Ed platform. It's a challenge that we will continue to support for our teachers. Thanks to staff, our entire staff, not just our teachers, that have to make those shifts to accommodate our parents' choices. And thanks to our parents, both who are making that provision, have made that choice, and to those who are remaining on launch ed. Reminder, it is still encouraged that those who qualify for bus transportation still, if they are able to, transport their own children. Current count says that we have about 20 of our over 800 buses that may be at the 24 enrollment count for those buses, so we are still pleased with those numbers, but we need parents to, if able, to certainly transport their own children so that we can try to help with those distancing efforts that we have in place. I've also had a few emails, and I know more are curious about whether or not we will extend the Launch Ed at Home option through the end of the year. And this is the only answer that I can give at this point. The emergency order from our commissioner was through the first semester. So even if the board wants to continue the Launch Ed option, we have to look to the Department of Education for direction. Again, that leverage would have to do with funding and whether or not they allow that to continue. So I want to assure all of our parents and our staff as well that we would be in support of extending that. It's just not in our authority to make that determination at this point. We will certainly keep you posted. Since it is mid-October, I'm going to make an assumption we'll be hearing something from the state in the coming weeks on whether or not we can continue. But the original emergency order was only through the first semester. So stay tuned. We will keep you updated on that. Then our COVID numbers, of course, have grown as well. I appreciated Board Member Gould, Vice Chair Gould, who mentioned that we are still having safety measures in place because we have not stopped the pandemic. We have not cured COVID-19 in Orange County Public Schools. We are up to 368 cases that we're aware of at this point, and currently about 218 staff members and students under quarantine, one particular school getting their notice this afternoon. So because we know that we have ways to go in defeating the pandemic, all of our security and safety measures will remain in place. That's important to note. And then I also wanted to mention the state did send us 4,400 rapid tests. It remains to be seen how we can use those tests. The first webinar left several questions unanswered, such as can we use them, it was at least indicated we could only use them for symptomatic students. That is far more than the number of tests we would need if they were purely used only for symptomatic students and no adults. And so the discussion continues. Lots of questions were raised. The state is going to get back to us with additional answers on those questions. Nonetheless, we do appreciate the additional 4,400 tests that we will be able to use. One possibility would certainly be to provide them to each of our schools so that our school nurses would be able to do a rapid test on a child who did come to the office or to the clinic not feeling well. Also, if you know any nurses interested in employment, we are still looking for an additional 44 nurses. We are pleased that we've hired as many as we have so that we have coverage in all of our schools, but we still need 44 additional nurses. Want to put that out publicly. And then lastly, Commissioner Daisy Lynham, former commissioner for the city of Orlando, passed away on December 8th. We wanted to make note of this. Chairman, I apologize we didn't get this to you earlier for our moment of silence. Daisy Lynham was a social worker in Orange County Public Schools from 1998 through 2002. Passed away on October 8th, will be funeralized on Saturday. Our condolences to her family, and we celebrate the time that she did spend with us. That's it, Madam Chair.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have an apology to make. We voted on item 1701, and I have a speaker card for Mr. Pollack. And, no?
He's withdrawn, yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought I overlooked you, and we value our relationship with you enormously, and so I was just getting sick here, realizing I had skipped over you, so, whew, okay. I did skip over you, just for the record, my Catholic guilt, I didn't know, but it worked out, thank you. That's why you're not jumping up and down. Yeah, thank you. And I kept looking over thinking, he's being so polite about this, but this is just unexcusable. Okay, Dr. Jenkins, I did want to I did want clarification, but I think you gave it to us that the mandatory order, or the order runs out. Okay, so that clears up that. Member Gallo, do you have something as a question for the superintendent before we move on, or did you want to be recognized under legislative report?
Well, I do want to be recognized in a legislative report, but I do have another matter to discuss.
Okay, let's take up the general counsel's report, and then we'll go to committee or board discussion.
Thank you, Madam
Ms.
Chair,
Engle?
members of the board. Just one announcement to make that October 23rd, 2020 has been declared by Governor Ron DeSantis as Paralegal Day in Florida. And though not often in the spotlight, the district has paralegals who keep the Office of Legal Services running. And I'd like to take a moment to publicly recognize and thank Cindy Valentin, Carolyn Schifferstein, Joanne Montalvo, and Karen Cooper for their dedicated service to OCPS and to making sure our various legal processes continue. That's it.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, reports from school board members. I know you have a legislative report, so let me call on you for that and anything else you have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Legislative Committee for Orange County Public Schools did meet, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and we've come up with some preliminary draft of our state legislative platform and of our federal legislative platform that's been distributed to all of the board members for review. In reviewing our last year's priorities, we did feel that it was important that we really cut our priorities to 3 main asks. So those 3 main asks are listed under priorities and in the state legislative platform, and they include support funding for FEFP at a level that at minimum maintains a current per student funding, support efforts to enhance safety measures that allows district to adjust to the current state of the pandemic, and support a 2-year approach to accountability that establishes a 2021 school year assessments as a baseline and establish any accountability measures for students, teachers, schools, or districts to be solely on student growth, and support legislation that would bring federal Medicaid funding match to Florida in order to offset the reductions in revenue in the state budget. This does still it is a draft, and it does still need to be approved by this board. But it's my understanding that we are on a timeline because this information needs to be submitted to FSBA. So I don't know how, and Member Colbert can speak to the deadline if she'd like with FSBA, and I don't know how do we want to move forward to make sure that we can get this appropriate information to FSBA.
Thank you. So Member Colbert, can you share with us the timeline? And Ms. Enval, if you'll let us know, or Dr. Jenkins, how quickly we can put this, Dr. Jenkins, how quickly we can put it on the agenda. Member Colbert?
Thank you. So I do sit on the legislative and advocacy committees for FSBA. The deadline for individual counties, school districts to submit their ideas for the FSBA legislative platform is the 15th. So that is Thursday. If we get consensus this evening, this is not something we need to vote on. We need to approve our legislative platform for ourselves. But if the board members, if we can reach a consensus, either Member Gallo or I could submit these 4 items to FSBA as potential legislative platforms for the state organization.
Okay, so then my question goes, I think, to our general counsel in terms of whether there is any problem with the board reaching a consensus on this for the purposes of submitting these to FSBA.
No, the board can do that.
Okay. All right, so do we have any, let me open it up to board comment or discussion, and primarily, is there any opposition to the document that the legislative committee worked on?
I will say that individual board members from across the state can submit ideas for the platform for FSBA, but we tend to work as a collective body here, and that's why I like getting consensus from the board in its entirety.
I appreciate that. Member Lopez?
When we are done with this discussion, I would like to contribute with another comment.
Okay, thank you. So does anybody have any objections to submitting these, this platform and priorities? Okay, seeing no objections, we have consensus, and we'll rely you and Ms. Colbert to Member Colbert to submit this on the board's behalf. Let's move on to Member Lopez.
I just want to let you know that we're going to have a promo video for our Hispanic and Latin American celebration, a history of serving our nation. So I just want to let you know that the Department of Communication, the Multilingual Department, Scott with the Department of Arts, working very hard to make this possible. So I just want you to enjoy a little bit of the celebration that we're going to have tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's going to be virtually.
But I thought we were going to watch the video earlier. That's where I was kind of struggling. Do we get to watch the video tonight? Okay, I thought we were going to do that earlier, and so it didn't queue up.
Un poquito.
Un poquito. Un poquito. Let's do it then.
Hola, soy Johanna Lopez, miembro de la Junta Escolar del Condado Orange. I am Johanna Lopez, a member of the School Board of Orange County Public Schools. I want to invite you to watch a joyful celebration of Hispanic and Latin American heritage and tradition. On October 14th at 6 p.m., we are going to present a program in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, a month celebrated both nationally and here in Orange County Public Schools. In this program, we shall present the warmth and vitality of Hispanic culture, as well as the accomplishments of those who claim that culture for themselves. We shall also celebrate how culture and diversity gives strength and color to our communities and to our nation. And in this program, our students will help us do that. Our program will also present a human face to the important words loudly proclaimed by Orange County Public Schools. We hope you will join us as we share our pride and honor in serving our community and our nation.
Whoa, that was wonderful. Oh my gosh, that was so incredible. Nice job. Okay. What a great note to end on. Let me ask, are there any policy items that any board member wishes to put on a future agenda for discussion? Yes, Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got a few emails this week pertaining to our policy of no longer allowing call-ins due to moving to phase 3. And I feel that it's important, since we are trying to minimize contact in large audiences, and we're still doing safety measures, as Dr. Jenkins mentioned, in our school, and not allowing large crowds, that we continue to allow people in our community to call in to voice their opinion on agenda items and non-agenda items as we have in the past. I think that is the best way to make sure that their voices are heard and we stay in contact with our community.
Okay, so want to schedule that for a future discussion?
Do we have to, does it require a future discussion, or is it something that we could do tonight?
It's not a policy decision. I mean, it's not policy, but it's just, it would just be board direction on your preference.
Let's bring it back at our next meeting. Okay? Give everybody a chance to think through that. Unless I hear, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Member Vice Chair Gold.
Thank you. I guess I totally blacked out the last time we talked about this, because I thought we had agreed that we wanted to make it as easy as possible during this time, for as long as possible, for people to reach us. So that was my misinterpretation, I guess, of our last discussion of this. But when I walked away, I thought we were going to continue to let people call in until the order was up. And then I learned that was until phase 3, and I just totally missed that. So I personally would be in support of, as daunting as it is sometimes, having been on the other and still will be on the other side of that from time to time. I do think it's a great way to be able to be accessible, especially for those who may be more fragile in their health and don't want to take the risk but want to be heard.
Thank you. I actually overlooked it as well. I did not realize I should have, I think, like you. I didn't realize it was terminating at the end of, when we went into phase 3. One concern that I do have is that we have a policy that gives every person 3 minutes, regardless of how many people we have, and regardless of whether they're saying exactly the same thing. I believe it was Broward County that had a 29-hour-long meeting. And I believe what it was petition signatures that were, petitions that were read over and over and over again. And so I'm in support of expanding that window of opportunity, but I think that we need to revisit our policy and make sure that what we're hearing is new information and not just the potential for hundreds of people to call in and read the same statement. I think that we can adjust our policy to accommodate for that, but that's the one reservation that I have, and the reason I wasn't jumping at changing it right now, because we just don't have the flexibility that I came from with the Orange County Commission. One, we would have, we never had this virtual because we've never been in that situation. But when people are in the chambers, we also had an opportunity to kind of gauge how many people agree with the same thing. Have we heard the same thing? And will it make a difference if we hear it 300 times or if we hear it 35 times? And generally speaking, that magnitude you can see in the audience, and you don't get that same kind of feedback on the phone. So it is more difficult. I'll support whatever the will of the board is, but I do think at some point we need to look at our policy and put some parameters around the amount of public testimony that we can take on any one item. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree. I think that policy does need to be updated, and I would support us reviewing that policy. But till there's a time that we can bring that before the board, I do think that's imperative that we stay in contact with our constituents and we remain accessible and in abundance of caution. I believe that there'll be several that would prefer to call in versus come here in person, and I don't blame them for that, and I don't want us to not allow their voice to be heard.
All right, thank you. Let me hear from Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's important to note there is not only the option of coming in person, the email option is still provided for all of your constituents as well. I didn't want anyone to misunderstand that it was either call in or come in person. The email option is available and has been taken advantage of. As you well know, board members are given copies of any emails that come in as well. Didn't want anyone to think it was either or, in person or by phone.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. The other thought I had in terms of the email option, we see those emails. Those emails do not become part of the public record. They are obviously a part of the record, but they're not, I don't know that they're attached to the minutes, and I think they should be. And the other thing that we could also do to enhance that would be to have, are they? We don't know. Okay.
We'll find out.
But I think that because they do provide us input, I think also if there were a way of tallying those and having that represented to the board publicly, we have X number of emails that are on this subject, 3 people are opposed, 4 people are in support. I think that also would provide a level of information to the public about the input that we've received that would enhance the process we have. So are there any board members who are opposed to opening up the phone lines at this point while we are still under this emergency order? Don't hear anybody opposed to that. So we will go that route beginning at the next meeting, and we will look to Ms. Enval to come back with us with a revised policy on taking public input. Okay?
And to the extent it's helpful, board and board members and the chair, the expectation, as we've discussed, are your policies that fall under the B category in our coding system do need some revision. Some of them haven't been revised since 1993. So it was the intent to bring forth a work session in December when you have your new board and to review those so you all can be really familiar with the policies that govern your interactions, and potentially then we can include that in the BEDH revision as well as some of the others, and then bring it back to you at a rule development workshop in January and for approval in February.
Thank you, Ms. Enval. All right. Any other policy issues? Dr. Jenkins?
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we're clear. So this is through the end of the emergency order. When the governor says all clear, then we are done with this provision. So everybody's clear.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, because I do agree. I don't think we were as, I don't think any of us were as clear. I remember calling Ms. Enval just a week or so ago and saying, what did we do? When did we do that? What did I miss? So
Board had
what-
mentioned through phase 2, so that's why
Yeah.
we didn't include it for now that we're in
Yes,
phase
and
3.
that, yeah, I thought it was just me that missed that. So it was more than just me. So good. All right, very good. With that, no further business, Dr. Jenkins. This meeting is now adjourned. Wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you on the phone.
All righty, good night.
Night. Good night.
All right, be safe going home.
Okay, thank you.